quick pause. Thank you so much, Squarespace, for sponsoring this video. Enjoy the video. Cool. All right, so welcome to my channel. So can you tell me a little bit about yourself? We know that you're a competitive programmer, but just a little bit about your life.
I am Kamil, or Erichta, and I liked competitive programming to the degree that I decided to work in competitive programming. So not only I participate in those contests, I also organize the contests, programming camps, preparing for IOI, for Olympiad for high schoolers. Right now I'm in USA for Google Code Jam because I advanced to the finals. And this is some part of my life that a few times a year I go to some international competition. Plus I have a YouTube channel where I teach algorithms.
Nice. So Google Code Jam, what does it take to get to the final? Because I never even got past the preliminary.
So basically it's not about maybe preparing something for the few days before the contest. It's about being very good in algorithms, and obviously for that you need years to practice, maybe months if you're very, very good. And then there are several qualification rounds, I think 3 plus 1 extra preliminary qualification round, and then 25 people I think advance to the finals.
That's it? Just 25?
I think 25 plus the champion from the previous year, so 26.
Who was the champion from the previous year?
Gennady Korotkevich. And actually he was champion for last 5 years.
Holy, oh my God. So he doesn't need to take the preliminary rounds. He just goes straight to the final. So. Damn, cool. So can you talk to me more about what is competitive programming exactly?
Yeah, I think in short it's a mind sport where instead of like in chess or poker you think about cards or your next moves, here you think about programming, how to program something. You're given a few problems to solve with some time limit, constraints for data, how big it can be. You need to invent quick enough algorithm, efficient enough, and implement it in time. And who is fastest and solves the most problems wins.
Do they usually care about the time it takes to execute or just the complexity?
That's a good question, and complexity is very important because it's a difference of running in 1 second or 1 hour or day, and there is usually a time limit, like 2 seconds. As long as you are within the time limit, you're okay. There are some competitions where it might matter, or also maybe length of code, how good score your program produces, because this is some NP-hard problem that doesn't have an exact solution. It's just how good solution you will find. But most of the time it's just you need to pass it, then you get the number of points that is assigned to this problem.
So for example, Google Code Jam, at the end in the final, how do you guys compare programs? Is it mostly on the time or the correctness?
So this is one of those where it's only the correctness and running within time. And then every problem has some score assigned, like this one is 15 points, this one is 20 because it's harder, and the hardest is say 40. Okay. And the sum of points matters. If there is a tie, what happens of course, then when you submitted like your last solution, if somebody finished in 2.5 hours, then he's better than somebody who got the same score in 4 hours.
Oh, so how fast you do it matters.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn. What do you think you're going to place?
I think around top 10.
Top 10?
This should be my expected. Last year I was second, just after Gennady.
That is crazy.
But this was my one of highest performance in my life.
Nice.
It's not that I expect to repeat that. I hope, of course.
So can you give me an example of what a competitive programming problem is?
Okay, I will give you, I think, a cool example.
Okay, I probably can't solve it, but let's try.
I think you can.
Okay, you overestimate me.
It will show some point of mine.
Okay.
Let's say there was a tennis match, or it can be volleyball if
tennis
you know
match,
rules
volleyball.
of volleyball.
Okay.
And you're given a sequence of letters A and B, whether player A or B scored the point. And there are some rules in tennis, like you need some number of points to win a set, then game, match. I don't know rules myself.
Okay.
You're given like sequence for the whole match, and you need to tell which player won.
Like won the whole game?
Exactly. And of course, you can implement all of that
Yeah.
to say now, of course, if there is a tie at the end of set, then they still need to play maybe for a long time. It's not like whoever gets 4 points or whatever he wins immediately.
Yeah.
And you can implement that in, say, 10 minutes. I don't know.
Right. I mean, yeah, what I'm going to do is very, very simple, right? We have a string of like A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B. And then because I know the rules of tennis, imagine if I do know the rules of tennis, I'm just going to increment the points. And then if it's a set, they already won the set. It's just like, okay, he won the set. So it's just linear, right?
Exactly. So you would do that. And usually what happens during contest is that you see a problem, you think for a moment about how to implement it, you implement, maybe debug for a little bit. So you spend, say, 10 minutes, you look at the leaderboard and you see that somebody solved it in 30 seconds. How is it possible, you might ask?
Oh, do they have like preset code that they already wrote?
Not necessarily. Maybe it's about like pasting the in C++, include something, int main.
Wait, so when you mean 30 seconds, do you mean the runtime was 30 seconds or they submit it in 30 seconds?
They've read the problem and implemented and hit submit in 30 seconds.
Is it because they already heard the question?
No, it's about quickly coming up with a simple idea.
I see.
And here the idea is that you print the last letter.
Oh, because if you already won, you're the one that ends.
If the string is A, B, whatever happens, and at the end there is
that's
B.
True. Well, that's assuming. That's assuming the string is correct.
And that's a good point. There's some, say, disadvantage of people used to competitive programming is that they always assume that data is correct. The statement said something, that there is that sequence describing the match. Or if the statement said that you're given a sequence of numbers that are in this interval, they will be in this interval. They don't care about incorrect characters, maybe some number being non-integer. They just do what they are told, so they might miss something in real job when they should ask, what if user will give me incorrect data?
Oh yeah, that's super smart. Yeah, just look at the last letter of the string. He won. Yeah, that person won. Cool. I like that. This is fun. Okay. And then would you say competitive programmers make good software engineers, or there's no relation?
It's very hard. I've seen an article that says there is negative correlation even. For sure they are smart. People in the top of competitive programming are very smart, but on the other hand, they are maybe overskilled in algorithms that isn't that important in a job. What is important that you implement carefully, that you're able to debug stuff. I think this is easy for competitive programmers. They make a lot of mistakes, so they need to correct it all the time. But there are some skills that they don't have. They are good candidates, and some of them will be awesome workers. Some of them will not.
That makes sense. So what are like the biggest contests and platforms for competitive programming?
I already mentioned Codeforces.
Yep.
This is Russian platform. There is also Japanese AdCoder, American TopCoder, which is a very old platform, like almost 20 years. It was one of first, while the other two are quite young. And they organize contests online every week, I think. So if you combine all those platforms, plus several that I didn't mention, you will have contests every second day or so. Plus there are some big on-sites from time to time, like Google Code, TopCoder Open, Facebook Hacker Cup. Some of them are just organized by big companies to attract skilled participants and maybe hire them. Google Code Jam actually is, I think, the well-prepared one, also with a stream, quite professional stream, that has a lot of advertisement. I already know that they will advertise Google Stadia this year during the stream, but also, it's also for programmers, so there's a lot of clips. Work with us, this is a cool intern, please tell us what you do and why you like Google.
Yeah.
So it's like one big advertisement. Of course, still, I don't complain because I get to compete with other strong competitors. I have a chance to win money, and I have a trip to USA.
Oh yeah, that's true. Oh, did they pay for your flight here?
Yes, they do.
Nice. What about hotel?
They cover hotel, sometimes 5-star one. So I've been to a few 5-star hotels only because some competitions paid for that.
Well, what's the prize for like first place, second place?
Right now it's around $10,000 or $15,000. which is fine, especially if you live not in a rich country. In Europe, it's more, for example, in Poland. But it used to be so much more.
Really?
Even $100,000 for the win.
Why is it so low right now?
I think that, but this is only my thought, that maybe because once you win such money, you don't have an incentive to work in a company because you are already rich.
Yeah, because they're trying to recruit people.
Yeah, Google wants to get those people, so they shouldn't give them money up front.
Okay, maybe. Just a side question. Do you used to do math competitions?
I did.
You
I
did?
actually, in high school, till maybe middle of high school, I did maths instead of informatics. And I then went to some international on-sites, maybe not as big as Google Code Jam. But yes, I was, I think, one of the best in Poland on my year.
Nice.
And a lot of people in competitive programming are very good in maths.
Yeah, that's...
Some of them didn't study computer science. They studied maths or economics.
So is it very similar, solving for these math questions and solving for coding questions?
I think the skills required to comprehend all of that, to understand the logic, implications, to prove that something will work, are similar.
I see.
You need a lot of knowledge that is only for algorithms, but the same people are good in both.
Damn. Do people usually do competitive programming during university and then do they stop after? Because it seems like everyone's so young.
Yeah, most of people are young, maybe also because competitive programming almost didn't exist 20 years ago. There are only a few guys that are in the top and over 30. Most of people study a lot in high school maybe to prepare for IOI if they are very competitive and skillful. In university for ICPC competition or just to get to some company because coding interviews are also about algorithms. So competitive programming is maybe a place to try to learn a bit, to compare yourself with others. Plus there are competitions like Google Kickstart that are more mainstream for programmers, and you have a chance that if you are good there, Google might invite you to an interview.
Nice.
And after university, once you have a job already, maybe you start a family, you don't have time anymore to practice, like several hours a week, then why would you continue that?
That's true.
Some people still do because they enjoy it, but not a lot of them.
Yeah. I personally think it's a lot easier to just apply to these jobs normally than winning a competition. Do you think the coding questions for the interviews are similar to the competitive programming questions, or is it way easier?
So regarding the first question, how easy it is to get through competitions, it's not that you have to win like Google Kickstart to be invited. Top 200, maybe even top 500 is enough that you can say that while applying, and maybe they will give you the first interview because of that. Still, you will quickly fail if you aren't good, maybe in other areas. But it's a chance to be recognized compared to thousands of people, or maybe tens of thousands. And problems are similar. Competitive programming is harder because it's for people that train sometimes years for that. It needs to be harder. But there are just some differences. While competitive programming requires some complicated algorithms, coding interviews sometimes can ask you questions that aren't possible to be tested with computer, like maybe some parallel computing with thousands of machines. You will not meet such a problem in competitive programming because organizers don't want to get thousands of machines to test your program. Google organized such a competition, one with hundreds of machines testing your program, but it had some limitation. It was called distributed code jam.
Cool.
Coding interviews have also sometimes other problems that cannot appear in competitive programming, like, for example, inventing an algorithm that will work in constant time for something, or in logarithmic time. Given an array, like binary search some number, because the array is sorted, it's very hard to test with competitive programming because you need to get that array anyway. So the time spent by computer or checker for that needs to be at least linear complexity anyway. When you speak with somebody during interview, they can ask you, what about this? Can you achieve smaller memory maybe? Try to get constant memory, while program that is automatically judged sometimes has some limitations, like you cannot distinguish between two complexities. Also, then constant factor matters. So the fact that everything is tested has the downside of not being able to distinguish everything, but also has an advantage. Everything is fair and objective. It's not that interviewer likes you, so he will give you better score.
Yeah. Quick question. So in competitive programming, does it ever happen that the higher complexity is actually better because the higher complexity?
What you said makes sense. Like the higher complexity might be faster and do better
because like the constant is too high for like the lower complexity. Does that?
Yes, it might happen. Like you need to understand when you want to focus on competitive programming. You need to understand, for example, that hash maps have quite high constant factor. If values are small anyway, they would fit in an array, use an array instead. Everything will be constant access anyway, but it's faster. So this is one example. And the other is that maybe some complexity is theoretically worse, but because of small data, actually, like this, even though it's n squared, because n is small, you don't care about it. Like you don't have to invent n times logarithm square.
So people don't check your code during competitions, right? They just run it.
Even it might happen that tests are very weak. Like they do not cover some case, like maybe edge case, or maybe your algorithm is heuristic and it could be quadratic, but when data is random, then it's better for some reason.
Yeah.
There are some algorithms like that. And organizers try to care about that pessimistic runtime, and they try to create
test cases,
malicious test cases, but they don't always succeed. It's impossible to predict all the
Interesting.
codes.
That's cool.
They have a hard job.
So do people ever win because they realize the tests aren't that good, so they could make their code like even not cover all the edge cases, but then win because of that?
It might happen especially during last minutes of a competition, where you know already that you don't have time to come up with an efficient solution, so you just try whatever. It's maybe like in school writing some essay, or maybe marking the answers by random. Okay, A, C, B, A, maybe it will pass. And just once every 10 or 100 attempts, it will.
That's funny. Cool. So you have personally met Gennady, right?
Yes, I have met him.
Right. Can you get him here?
I think you would need to write to him like a few weeks ago.
Oh, really? Shoot. Okay. Well, he is coming in Google Code Jam, right?
Yes, okay. But usually you plan those trips a few months in advance, and you already have tickets, so there's nothing now that you can do.
Yeah, that's true. Oh well.
Some people actually will be here already in advance, because I asked several guys whether they maybe want to go to escape room together in San Jose.
That's fun.
Jacker's Asylum.
It must be really easy for you guys.
Yeah, I think people in competitive programming are very good in escape room. And so I'm going with several strong guys in San Jose. I think that if there are some algorithmic problems there or puzzles, we will be very good. But he's not one of them. No, sorry for that.
Cool. Yeah, so what about any other competitors? Like, are they all in school? What do they do for a living?
The best ones are those that still after university they do something. Of course, there are some very skillful and talented ones in high school or university, but if some other people have 10 years of experience already, they are better. Those that enjoy the competitive programming and they want to practice for the sake of it, because they like it. And some of them work in university, like doing research in algorithms, sometimes in machine learning. I know a few guys that started companies or startups on their own, or like they do cool stuff like that.
But they probably don't compete anymore, right?
They do some of it. They cannot spend 20 hours a week, but if they like something and their job is a bit related to that, so it's good for them to stay fresh with algorithms, like new algorithms in the world, then they can spend several hours a week and it's still useful to some degree. Some people work in university, some in big companies like Google. there are also people like me that just stay in competitive programming. It's a bit like questioning in school, why do you need biology for? And the question is to teach biology or to help your children with homework.
That's true.
Of course, there are some uses, and I also had internships where I just strictly did algorithms.
Oh, cool.
Like working on algorithm in a company selling flight tickets, working on algorithm to combine single flights into something with changes. You don't do that with machine learning because there is just, let's say, thousands of possible flights, and you need to combine them in good enough complexity. This is exactly a problem that could appear in a programming contest.
Interesting. So, do you mind me asking like how old you are and when you started competitive programming?
I am right now 24, and I started, I think, when I was around 16.
16.
I knew some of C++, maybe just a little bit of Python too, when I was 16. And when I was 17 or 18, I bought my first book. I'm not from a big city, so it's not that I had a lot of friends to discuss with or to learn from. Also, not a lot of teachers know programming, like algorithmic programming. You only in university learn that well. I bought a book, Carmen's Introduction to Algorithms. I've read most of that, and I could do it because I was good in maths. So then my skills, my performance, I think, skyrocketed. Also then university, meeting other talented people, competing with them in team ICPC competition, and here I am.
See. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. What about Gennady? Like when did he start and like how old is he now?
I think he started when he was like 6 with coding, and when he was 11 for the first time he was in International Olympiad for high school. And I think for the first time when he was there he didn't win. He won when he was 12.
Okay, damn. Wait, how old is he now?
My age or maybe 1 year older. I think he's 25.
He's 25.
Don't quote me on that.
Okay, that's cool. So what do you plan to do in the future? Like, do you think you just want to teach competitive programming, or do you want to do something else? You know, what if everything paid the same? Every job paid the same. What would you choose?
Can I just play games on PS4?
You have to stream it.
Okay.
Also, so I guess you like playing games on PS4s?
Yes, but algorithms are also cool. If I were to choose just till the end of my life to do algorithms or play games, I would choose algorithms.
Nice.
Because those are more interesting to me.
Cool.
It's cool to do some of this and some of that. If everybody paid this, if everything paid the same, then I for sure would continue with my YouTube channel. Where for now I don't even have ads, so I earned 0 for now. For that, and I don't think it will change a lot in the near future, but I know that I help some people. I receive messages that they like my videos, that they learned something. Also, sometimes I try coding interview problems just to bring more people to competitive programming. This is something that people search for, and then maybe some of them will just enjoy algorithms and will stay there. I also organize camps, teach in like high school, also from the organizations side. I'm not only teacher but also organizer of contests, events, and I like that.
Nice.
I will be doing that in the future.
Cool. All right, well, thank you so much for coming. Do you want to talk about your channel a little bit, promote it or something?
Yeah, so basically if you want to learn algorithms, then it's a good idea to check my channel out. But I guess that's it. The name of my channel is Arichta, with CH, Ari CH.
How did you come up with that username? Because that's the same as your competitive programming.
Yeah, I use Arichta in the internet, and a lot of people ask me about the meaning of that, and the answer is it's a bunch of random letters.
Really? Okay.
And there is huge advantage to that. It's never taken.
Yeah.
If you take something from a book or like your name, something like this, it will be taken.
Yeah, that's funny. Cool. All right. Thank you so much for the interview. Really appreciate it. Learned a lot. Thank you so much. See ya.
See ya.
Squarespace gives people a powerful and beautiful platform in which you can create your website. You can create beautiful websites or an online store using these award-winning templates. Create beautiful websites with Squarespace all in one platform. So that means you'll never have to install things, patch things, or upgrade, ever. Squarespace is used by a wide range of creatives and people, ranging from musicians, designers, artists, restaurants, YouTubers, and more. If you're interested, go on squarespace.com/jomatech to get your free trial and 10% off your first purchase. All right, that's it.